It is 8:15, time to call this meeting of finance together. People on the committee are Mr. Ofer Lawson and Ms. Nate Sine. Tonight we were going to discuss the staffing ordinance, but it did not come through. What else were we going to discuss?
I have a list of appropriations requests, a few updates.
All right, go ahead with the appropriations request, sir.
All right. Thank you to the committee and to everyone in attendance. I'm going to start. Appropriations should be easy. I have a list I've given everybody here. It's the bullet points from the email sent out on it. Several of these line items need appropriation due to incurred or unplanned expenditures to come. They must be appropriated by default by law. So the first one is actually, this line item is called other employee cost. It's a line item the city uses for legal cost. The appropriation needs made there to those three line items due to the payment on previous legal costs and settlements to a former council member. So I would toss that. Would you rather me one by one? Or,
Yes, just go one by one.
Or just give it to you in a batch to vote on it? Okay. So that's the first one. Please stop me if there's any questions. There is a body camera need for the police department. The chief is still here. Because of the city actually does not, stop me if I'm going to say anything wrong. The city is not deleting any body cam footage. So there's an exceptional amount of body cam footage, right?
Yeah, so when the city first started their body camera program, they got allotted like 4 terabytes of storage, and we're now at like 11 terabytes. So the increased expense is to maintain storage, and the increase is for unlimited storage, so we won't run into any more issues with that.
And that increase is $3,000. There's a line item in the general fund for body camera expenses for the police department. And so that request is before you as well. The miscellaneous expenses line item in the general fund, there is a request for $25,000 increase there. So that line item has been used for a number of council and special council. Even though they sound the same, not to be confused with each other, council and special council costs that were not anticipated during budget season last year. So that line item has actually been pushed to zero. And that's a line item that expenses come for example, pest treatment around City Hall. We don't generally have a pest problem, but we have it treated regularly to make sure. And a bunch of very miscellaneous items like that.
It's not just City Hall. They've got traps around our buildings and stuff also.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole complex.
It's everywhere here.
Yeah. You'll see in the next bullet point, an appropriation request for additional audit cost. That's not auditor's office, my office. That's actually state audit cost, of which we get no say or negotiation with. State sets that amount and bills us. And we'll keep pushing forward with no questions so far. I'm going to cover this one. These are the type of appropriations that give the auditor a little bit of heartburn, but it's incredibly necessary. The sewer plant is, of course, new. If anybody was there for the ribbon cutting, it's a very large facility. Facility like Nelsonville's never had. We did not change the utility cost because there was an exceptional change in the utilities being used down there between gas, natural gas, and electricity. Different heating needs, different square footage, of course, a far different capacity handling between the two. We knew it would go up, but we didn't know how much, and we wanted to inform the council accurately. The change has been quite dramatic. It's a very large increase in electricity cost. due to primarily the size. So to cover the utilities for the rest of the year, this is not starting today, but that line item is quickly heading towards zero. There will need to be 95,000 appropriated to cover the utility plant's electricity the rest of the year, which is a large increase. It's a very large increase. So there have been some conversations around City Hall. I don't want to speak for the folks having those about options like solar and other options that would cut electricity costs. The city would be very wise to explore those options in the future. As sooner, of course, every 30 days, those electric bills come. So the sooner those conversations are had, the better. There's a request, the Nelsonville Middle School. I don't think that's associated with the school.
It is not.
It's the age group. Baseball league.
7th and 8th grade, 6th, 7th and 8th grade.
Yeah, 6th, 7th, 8th grade baseball league, for the city to continue supporting that league. The previous amount in the past was $2,000. I wanted to get council's appropriation and go ahead on that before we make that. The last time we supported that league was 2022.
Yeah, we need $5,000.
I think it was two.
I'm just telling you. Anyway, yeah, I supported that. I funded the first 2 years myself.
Okay. I'm looking at my list, right? The last appropriation item is $16,940 for the fire department. This is a pass-through, so these are funds that are already earned by a state Marks grant. The line items listed there, the operating fund, although there's a typo here. It is 200, not 122. To accept those grant funds in and allow the fire department to expend those out. And of course, thanking both the grant agency and the fire department for those funds. And those are the appropriations.
Okay.
A little busy, but it's been a few months.
It has been a few months. You were right on, it was 2,000, it was 5,000 back in 18. I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, you were right.
I was gonna say, I didn't remember 5,000, so it says.
Who's in charge of the police program now?
The city pays?
Of the junior high program?
The city doesn't have anybody.
No.
I'm sorry.
Who's
So
requesting?
Bill
Oh, I
LaRue was, is Bill still doing baseball?
And my grandson is playing baseball, and it's through the school and the city, both.
Right, but is it,
He and Ryan, what's Ryan's last name? Bill and Ryan.
Yeah, the school doesn't sponsor the baseball.
right, well, but the last meeting Dee Dee was in there.
Dee Dee came in and because Bill could be here and asked for the funding.
Okay. That's fine.
That would be the Parks and Recreation Fund, if I didn't say that.
I know they'd also talked to me about Crabtree Field for practices. That's what we have that.
So how much is that for the Parks and Recreation, for the kids to play? What is the amount for appropriation?
It's 2,500 because of the umpire fees, I believe, are up to $80 a game now.
So it's not 2,000, it's 2,500.
2,500, it says right
Okay.
here.
I put 25, because it was 2,000 2 years ago. I figured
Yeah,
there may be some increased costs.
the umpire, when they play down at the ball fields in Athens. And the fees down there's no participation fee, as so to speak, but you had to pay the umpires, which is, I think, $80 a game now.
It's
80 to 100, and then you have to buy the uniforms, the baseballs, the catching equipment, because it has to be updated every 1 to 2 years. It actually has expiration dates on it now.
Yeah, that's actually really cheap for all that.
And usually we bought uniforms 1 year and it cost like $800 for uniforms. So, I mean, it can be expensive, but $2,500 should last about a year and a half, maybe two, or close to it, depending if they get into any tournaments or anything like that. But basically the biggest expense is the umpires, a lot of it. And they play several games. They play 16 games, I think.
They play double headers back to back.
Yeah.
They were down at Warren yesterday playing because the rain had flooded the field out so bad
Yeah.
on Saturday here that they went down.
They went down to Warren and played.
Mhm.
That's a lot
They
of,
home until late last night.
but yeah, we didn't have, so yeah, I believe that's a worthwhile cause to support that. Does anybody have any issues with that?
The boys bought their own pants this year. And the shirt, I do think that was maybe provided through some funds they had, but
Yeah.
they bought their own pants.
They bought their own pants.
Mhm.
There used to be pants. I mean, but I'm sure that's been 5 years ago, so that's been a little while. So that sounds good to me. I don't have any issues with any of the appropriations. You said the $3,000 is for the unlimited storage for the body cam. So you won't, was that per year
Yeah.
or that's per year?
per year, yeah.
So $3,000 per year for just the storage for body cams. Okay, well,
They already, if I can say, I mean,
we pay.
the vendor's like a massive monopoly, so, don't have a ton of sympathy for them, but they have given us quite the time extension. They should have charged us a long time ago.
Well, we have no choice on that. That's a must do.
Not that I want to give away the money, but according to their policies and prices, they could have charged more.
What's the additional money for the audit? What was the amount of money additionally that you appropriated?
So the $5,000 was gonna come out of 3 line items.
Is
Okay,
that for the state audit that comes in? They just do it and they bill us?
We got several of them.
so it's on just three lines that are already established.
Let me get those real quick for you. It is 100,
370,
yeah,
21, 400.
and those are called. Well, I tell you, I gotta get my glasses updated. Contract services, we use that for a number of services, including audit contracts, and I believe all 3 are called that. Yes,
Okay, so 100 is one of them. What are the other two amounts?
they're the exact same except for the first 3 numbers changed, so the second one's 700, 370,
And 750.
and the last one's 750, 370.
Thank you.
Anything else I can help with?
Actually, why don't we raise the grant appropriation for the middle school to $3,000 even? That will give them at least close to 2 years, and then we'll have to come back or more. Does anybody have a problem with that? Raise it to 3,000, so that way they have 2 years of pretty good fundage. And they won't have to worry about money if they decide to go any place at the end of the year.
What fund is that coming out of?
General fund.
Parks and Rec.
Okay.
Parks and Rec fund.
Yep.
Parks and Rec.
Recreation.
Mhm.
And how much additional? 5,000?
3.
Thank you.
So 3,000 total.
3,000 total.
It's
Yeah.
not additional.
Okay.
That'll give them 2 years.
Recreation, 3,000.
All right. Anybody else have any questions about any of the appropriations?
Just so there won't be any surprises, Taylor and I have talked about an additional to the sewer plant, is that what?
Yep.
An additional hire for them. And it's something that they need badly because they only have, what is it, 3?
3 folks.
Yeah, 3 folks running this whole place. And I know that the supervisor hasn't had any time off forever.
It's not that there's only 3 people, it's the license.
There's 3 licenses.
So that's a class 3 plant,
Okay,
so you have to have at least a class 2 to fill in for Sean myself.
okay.
And currently, we don't have that, correct?
We don't, nobody's a class 2.
But wasn't he saying hire someone and train them into that?
He's got people that he's talked to, he's got a full of people. We haven't interviewed them yet. They've already got. They've got their class 2. It's not a full-time job. It's a fill-in
Right.
It's just,
Emergency thing.
when he goes on vacation or something like that, you have to have, for the EPA, you have to have so many hours per day with a license.
Well, I hope he's not thinking about hiring that one guy that wants, what, $80 an hour? I mean, it was.
He's-
to go on the retail. I mean, that's.
Well, but I checked on this. And the, okay. what am I-
Well, and I think she might have been referring to the goal, if I understand Sean, the city manager, and Jason right, is to have the fill-in when needed now. But those class licenses take a long time to achieve. It's to continue their training, our full-time folks,
Yes.
Continue the training in the meantime.
who have been taking tests to get, it just.
Yeah, because what it is, like, if you go take for your class one, you have to put 100 hours in at the plant before you're even considered a class one. And then you can take your class two, and you've got to put like 3,500 hours in before you're considered a class two. So, I mean, you're looking at years to be able to get this. Well, this new plant is a higher class than the old one, a backup could be a class one.
Okay.
So now we have to have a class two as a backup.
Well, I just wanted to make everyone aware that this
It's gonna
is
be
coming out.
expensive. It's gonna be expensive if needed.
So do we need to put more, I'm just trying to understand, do we need to put money into the appropriations to hire someone, should that come to fruition? Is that what
I think the
Nancy's
answer,
asking? I'm trying to-
So last year, council approved another guy for utilities. That's in the budget, right? It was put in the budget, just not on the staffing. areas. So the money's in the budget for another employee for the utility department. Instead of adding another employee to the utility department right now, since that money is already in the budget, that would be the money used to pay that guy.
Anything else, Mr. Sappington?
I unfortunately do, but the appropriate, it's been a while. The appropriations, could I ask the committee just a up or down vote on whether to send those on to council or?
I vote to send them on.
I'll second that.
Send them on.
Okay?
Yes.
All three yeses.
All righty. You know, we auditors, we're all about process. There is a grant the city was awarded. I believe the public's been made aware. I think it was made at a committee and a general council meeting. But I just wanted to make sure it was said that there's a $250,000 grant from the state of Ohio, from the state legislature. In fact, our state rep, Mr. Edwards, is on let me rephrase, he's the chair of the finance committee for the state of Ohio. And assisted the city in a $250,000 grant for the dog park.
Nice.
That's a significant amount more than the city asked for, which is great. But we just have to, it's not the auditor, but the city has to come up with a budget for the increase in funds, and then you guys will see that plan and appropriation and so on and so forth. I just want to make sure to say that. This is the second time I've asked this committee, but granted, the last time was a long time ago and different folks. So the street levy is expiring this year. Typically, the city likes to get those through the council before the primary. The state of Ohio had an early primary. So we've got just one shot on the November election. So I would ask the committee to consider the issue of renewing or replacing the street levy, which I think, well, actually for everybody but Mr. Lawson, you've been through this before. It takes a long time. You gotta work with Auditor Davidson's office, and we have to go back and forth on figures and estimates and approvals. And but one of the street levies is expiring, a very significant sum of money put towards street repair, and we should get that process started.
Okay, I don't foresee an issue with that. I would bring it to full council. I mean, Nancy, do you have any issue? I think a renewal is better than a replacement,
Right.
so
Should we ask for both? The last, I'm not trying to pressure the committee. I just, the last levy, they asked for the estimates on a replacement and a renewal, and then picked from it at the general council meeting.
okay.
Does that sound?
If that's what we did before, it sounds like a great idea.
Okay.
Just to be open to see what we're at. You okay with that,
Yeah.
Efra?
All right.
Would make sense.
You okay with that, Nancy? Thank you.
Take cheap food.
All right. I'm getting close. So today is indeed tax day for anybody watching at home. Six folks. Hopefully one of them's maybe press or something. To make sure that folks know that tax day is today. By the time that something's printed, it was today. City of Nelsonville has an income tax filing requirement, so please file. Unless you are retired, disabled, or have other non-taxable income, in which if you file an exemption one time, you never have to talk income tax with us again. And my office can assist you in filing that form. In fact, we can help you with everything but sign it. All you gotta do is sign it. So if you need that done, please call the office or email or stop in. The last thing, I wanted to inform the committee, because this is a question I think is gonna come up before the committee, before the end of the year. Our insurance company, the health insurance, it's called the Ohio Small Groups Pool. There's a lot of conversation with administration and employees about expanding the offerings made to employees because they're a little narrow at the moment. The pool does allow that and can accommodate that. I wanted to make sure. It's almost like the COG of governments, the Council of Governments you guys heard from earlier. This is a board of government entities that regulate their own insurance offering so that we're not at the beck and whim of a major national insurance company just out to make profit off of us. Every dollar we pay in gets paid out in employee cost, with the exception of less than 1% in administrative cost.
What employees does this cover?
Full-time employees eligible for health insurance. Well, who take insurance, let me rephrase that.
So any city employee,
Mhm.
full-time, okay,
Yep.
okay.
So the update for them is that you will be hearing those questions coming sooner than later. And the group has already stated they can accommodate some of the questions I've heard come up. The more important part is that the small groups pools rates have become so attractive because their rates are growing at such a slower rate than the big national insurance companies, that multiple local villages and government entities have applied for membership within the last, however long it's been since we met, 60 and 90 days. I don't think I'm sharing any information that's inappropriate when I say it includes LEACs. So there's a lot of local groups very interested in getting in on this group. So I wanted to make sure to tell the committee that though there are lots of things we can do and change about it, it has become the desirable group to be in. It includes the jail as well as Belpre and a small village near Zanesville. Anyhow. Any thoughts, questions, anything?
So what are they're wanting to include more people in our?
Yeah, so we've currently got 4 or 5, and basically, if I remember right, 2 villages and LEACs have applied for membership within the last month or 2 because they would like to have health insurance with our group as well. One of the benefits to the group growing is that shared cost in insurance typically means lower, let me rephrase, slower growing rates.
Okay.
So it should benefit us financially.
Sounds like a good idea to me. I mean, anything that's going to save us possibly money is.
It's not very often the tent that the city of Nelsonville has is the one everybody else wants in, but it's not bad to be in that position.
Well, if it can save us money, this sounds like a no-brainer to me. What do you think?
I think it's great. Little fresh.
Okay. I can follow.
Tony, what is
Anything to
it
say, Mark?
exactly? Pardon me, are we?
What it is we have a small group, we're a part of a small group of insurance, us, Belbury, and another.
The jail.
The jail.
Jail account.
There's a couple, there's a couple more entities that want to join our pool, which will cause the rates to go, not raise near as much, and or stay the same or possibly lower.
Yeah, we've had a few years of 0% increase, so we'd love to see that continue.
Just pretty impressive.
Most insurances have gone up everywhere, so you're doing very well.
Yeah.
So what we're doing is going to continue to have this service for our employees.
Yes.
Yeah, it would continue. The city renewed its membership last year, which was a 3-year, I believe, membership. The city manager and the auditor represent the city on the board of decision makers, which is the same for each city. For the jail, it's the warden. And yeah, the goal is to keep costs low, not just for the employees, but of course the citizens too, who pay a large portion of the premium as well.
So the city manager is on the board, you said, and who's the third or second person?
Myself, the auditor. Yeah.
Thank you.
Anything else?
That's it.
Oh, wow.
That wasn't too bad.
No. not for
31
you.
minutes every couple of months.
Not for you. Is there any comments from the crowd? Anybody have any questions?
Oh, Mike, you have something.
Yeah, I got one. Basically, you guys, this is I talked with John and Grove already, said to bring in, this is the application for the deposit of funds to Farmers Bank. They submitted an application, it basically needs council approval. I believe it's not he said to inform you that you have draft an ordinance for council for it, but I don't know if it needs voting from here or not, but essentially it would add them the ability to store our CDs when they come up for.
And how much would we?
I think this allows them to bid, right?
Allows them to
Yeah,
bid
they're
the
allowed,
amount?
they have like a specific dollar amount, yeah.
Okay.
About 3 million.
Up to about 3 million.
Yeah, which is normally, it'd be pretty close.
I don't have a problem with bringing that to full council.
What we got?
CDs for the city of Nelsonville, allowing Farmers Bank to,
Take
we've had,
bids.
take bids for the CDs.
That's what we got now, right?
Yeah,
We
we had people.
people's, but we want to add another one so we have more competition. Not comes from bidding.
Which would be about, what, $3 million? Let's do
Yeah,
it.
it could be 3.5, but
Could be
you
3.5.
know,
Okay.
we can split it if somebody offers a higher rate.
I don't foresee a problem bringing that to council to be discussed. Voting on. All right, anything else?
Should the committee touch on the police dispatching?
On the financial side of it, I guess we could. I mean, it wasn't on the agenda, was it?
Well, it's kind of falls under insurance risk report. And that was one of the items, item 14
Oh,
of that report. Now, I'm not sure I have the numbers correct, but I believe through Hopkins College, the dispatching is 80,000 a year.
mhm.
911 has offered it at, if I'm correct, wasn't it 85,000?
Almost 86.
Almost 86.
85,968.
There we go. So we have not had a contract since December 31st of 22. We are 16 months without a contract.
But we're paid through June.
We're paid through June,
Okay.
but we have no contract. And we're coming into May, so I think it's time that a decision is made.
Okay, well, I tend to err on the people who use it every day, who have to deal with it. I'm not a police officer, never will be, never have been. So I'm gonna defer to Chief Tolliver and to our city manager on that decision, but if Chief Tolliver, what do you want? Do you want 9? What do you want?
My recommendation would be switching to Athens 911.
Okay, well, there's mine. I do not have an issue with that.
And
I'm having it up the same way.
That,
People that utilize the services have to be happy and have to be able to trust the people that's providing the service, so.
that was Pet's recommendation too, when we were in that meeting.
It reads, the city using a regional dispatching services through a 911 PSAP point should be utilized. I don't know what that acronym means.
Could I just ask a question? When a call comes in, Athens will handle the whole thing, not just 911.
Yes, any phone call that comes in that is a dispatchable call, if you need an officer for a theft report, a suspicious person, they handle the whole thing and directly send us, so they don't call anyone else or transfer
Okay.
anything.
That's what I wanted to verify.
Okay.
Sooner the better.
Yeah.
And how long is that good for, the contract?
I think the one they sent us is 2 years.
2 years. All right. I have no issues with that. But I think it needs to be run through the police and fire also.
Well, it's been through that committee
Okay.
numerous times.
Yeah.
I think it's time to make a decision.
I don't have an
Move
issue
on.
with it, as long as Chief Tolliver, if that's what you want. And one thing I gotta always say is you gotta watch what you wish for. That's what my mom taught me. So, okay.
No more complaining.
So, all right, I don't have an issue with that. Anything else? Okay, meeting adjourned at 8:46.